Okay, so we're going to talk about graphing, everything we need to know about graphing, starting with the coordinate plane, y is equal to mx plus b, slope formula, and all of that. So the first thing I want to say is that the graphing, the model here came from a man named Descartes, René Descartes, the French mathematician, who lived till about the age of 54 and died of pneumonia. He used to tutor the Queen of Sweden at like 4, 5 a.m. But this was René Descartes, we name it the Cartesian plane, partly because of René Descartes. With this plane, there is x and y coordinates. This is the x coordinate and y coordinate. So when someone gives us a point like 5, 7, we go to the x coordinate to 5 and we go up to 7. And that is how we get that specific point, 5, 7. So the first part of our video is just describing the coordinate plane. We have integer values, meaning negative numbers and positive numbers. And basically, we can look at the coordinate plane and create a graph, which is what we're going to do by the end of this video. So the next thing we're going to look at now is how do we find the slope. I'm actually going to talk about that first, and then I'm going to give a bonus section called the distance formula. So to find the slope in a coordinate plane, you use y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. And so how does this work? We basically take two values, like this point and another point, and we use one of them as x1, y1, and the other one as x2, y2. The number on the left is always your x, and the number on the right is always your y. So if we're using that, we have y2 minus y1, which in this case would be, so always it's good to write whatever formula you're working with, it's always good to write that formula out first, and then plug in the values. So we have 5, 7, and 7, 9. So this is x1, y1, and x2, y2. So now I just take all these values and I plug them into the formula. So we have 9 minus 7 divided by 7 minus 5, which becomes 2 over 2. 2 over 2 is the same thing as 1, or 1 over 1 technically. So basically what that means is that the 2 points have a slope of 1, a rise of 1, and a run of 1. So slope is the same thing as rise over run. So how much do you go up, and then how much do you go over? That has to do with the run. So that's how the slope of a graph works. You use the formula m, we use m for slope, is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We could do a lot more practice problems, but I'm going to stop and transition to number 2 on our graph there, or on our outline, which is y is equal to mx plus b. So let's do that. So we have y is equal to mx plus b. This is called the slope-intercept form of a graph. So the slope-intercept form, what that means is that m represents the slope of a graph and b represents the y-intercept of the graph. And so if someone says, here's a graph, y is equal to 2x plus 4, what they're saying is that this line goes through 4 because 4 is the y-intercept. So we go to the graph and we actually put a dot on that point because that is the y-intercept. And then the slope is 2, so it means you go up 2 and over 1. And you go down 2 and to the left 1. If the slope is positive, think of the stock market or like an upward trend. You should see it going upward, right? So if the slope is positive, we expect a line that would be something like that, right? This is just a sketch if the slope is positive. So we know it's going to go up that way. So that's why we went up 2 over 1. Or we go down 2 and to the left 1 because it's a line. It must go up in one direction, either going that way or going down. But the positive slope tells me it's going to go up. So that's how we get the slope for this, or the graph for this line over here. So let's try another one. If someone says y is equal to 4x minus 2, that means the y-intercept is negative 2. We go down to negative 2 and we make a point there. And then we go up 4 units, 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 1 unit. And then we go down 4 units, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 unit left. And then we connect the dots. That gives us the slope of that line. Now, while we're at this, I'm going to mention something interesting. If you put these two lines together, like if you keep drawing this one up and you keep drawing this one up as well, they will meet at a certain point. That is another topic in math called the systems of equations. Systems of equations. And the reason why this is important is because when you do the systems of equations, when you're solving the systems of equations with graphing, all you do is graph the two lines, and where they meet is the answer, is the solution. So keep that in mind. That's in a different chapter, but it's good to have a heads up. Okay, so we've talked about the coordinate plane. We've talked about y is equal to mx plus b. We've talked about the slope formula. And we are going to then finish off with number 4 and 5, which is parallel and perpendicular lines, and then the point slope form. So I'm going to clean the board quickly, and then we'll do those two. And we'll take a quick break while I do that. Okay, I'm going to stop. Questions?